For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Talking Horses. Opening day here at the Big A. He is the Big A, Anthony Stabile. I'm Andy Serling. It's nice to be back in our real home in the Aqueduct studio. We've got Ernie Munich sitting to your left there, little Nosferatu sitting over there, and it just feels like we never left. I've been back in the studio since
the rats are on the
March 7th was the last time that I was in the studio with you. It's been almost exactly
So that means
8 months.
David and I did the show on
Next
March
weekend,
8th.
and the next weekend as
No,
well.
next weekend we did not have a show. March 8th was the last show.
Oh, really? No,
Yeah,
nothing.
not have Talking Horses.
Wow. Surprised we were able to race. You ready for the Breeders' Cup?
I am.
If we get through today's show, we'll discuss a little Breeders' Cup action. Today's races, of course, today and tomorrow out at Keeneland, but we've got 10 to go here. We are fast and we are firm. I know we didn't give you the scratches, but we will tell you scratches as we get to each race. There are none in the first. In race number 1, we'll take a look at Crick, who finished second last time. And
First we got to tell them to go to Naira Bets.
You're right. You're not a member of Naira Bets. Thank you, Anthony. Head on over to nairabets.com. I haven't read this enough. I read this a total of 28 times yesterday taping the videos. Use promo code CUP25. We'll also give you a free $25 bet, plus match up to $200 your sign-up bonus. Support racing in New York. Play through Naira Bets. Also, what else we got, Francisco? We have a $100 late pick 4 bonus. Hit the late pick 4 at Keeneland and Aqueduct, and you get a $100 bonus, $150 bonus if you hit both Friday and Saturday. You got it in both. $100 bonus, that's not bad.
That's 4, though, a $150 bonus Friday and Saturday. You hit all 4 of them.
Yes, $150 if you hit all 4. But today, if you hit just the two, and that includes, of course, 4 Breeders' Cup races closing it out. I still have a bonus. Also want to let people know, Aqueduct Saturday contest, $250 buy-in, all cash prizes. Bonus contest seats for November 7th. Check it all out, naira.com/challenge. Get the info. I think you have till 5 o'clock today to sign up. All right, now we can get to the first race, and Francisco, we can take a look at the replay of Crick running last time, and Crick is starting to pile up the second place finishes for trainer Bob Dunham. Now has 5 and 11 starts. Based on the performances, though, the last couple times, the Beyer speed figures in the mid-50s, he is the fastest horse in this race. Whether or not you like him is another question.
Yeah, exactly right. He's done well on both surfaces, wet and dry land. Look, this one, he's going to get himself into a little bit of a ding-dong at the end. More often than not, he's just running a long late. This time, he got to finish second after a little bit of a stretch battle. If you're starting the early pick 5, you have to use them.
Talk about your pick, the 2. We'll run out of time if we go through all the nonsense.
Dropping back in for a tag, first time for the debut. That debut was at Monmouth Park against Open Company. Now it's a state where third off almost a 10-month layoff, and He'll be here for the week.
He's the moto horse, and he's obviously not going to be the 8-1 he is now. He'll probably be vying for favoritism. I wouldn't be shocked if he actually is favored. Pay no attention to the line right now. A horse like Vitanza will never be close to favoritism. The odds are meaningless. There's probably very little money in the pool right now. I don't have a problem with Misty Taste. The horse drops down. It's not first time for a tag, and it is next Jason Service. And this horse wasn't good for Jason Service, and he didn't get much better, or she didn't get much better for Kelly Breen. So I have my reservations and didn't want to pick this horse, who is the obvious sort of moto alternative to Crick, and I agree, this has to be on your tickets. I like the 8 Adorable Maya on this race, who I think is actually quite dirtied up by sort of odd race placement. If you look at the first race horse ran this lot, the figure as a first-time starter in August as a 2-year-old was fast enough to win this race. Then came back and did not run. Okay, didn't run particularly well. Then came back and they ran on the turf. Not a turf horse. Then they caught another sloppy track, and the horse may not have run that well, but that was a day that inside speed was very, very good, and this horse was the opposite, an outside closer in there. Then they tried to go 1 1/8. Well, this horse couldn't get 1 1/8 on a flatbed. Now they're running against a relatively weak bunch on a dry track, going 6 furlongs, and I think today is the day that at least this horse has a chance to win, and I thought she was a reasonable alternative in a race filled with horses. I mean, you've got Love You to Me Tomorrow, second. I wouldn't include that horse if I bet an all. I would have an all that said, please leave Love Me Tomorrow off my tickets. This horse has been a failure under the most the simplistic of circumstances over and over and over again. This horse may literally never win a race, probably won't ever win a race in New York. There'll be some field this horse finds the day this horse breaks a maiden this winter.
I don't know if she's going to find one much easier than this.
Oh, she'll find one much easier.
Okay.
I'm going to remind you that you made that comment. You're going to remind you that comment about 15 times this winter. The maiden Twain field.
I'm not a fan of hers. I just worry that she can be 3 in front. And that might be enough against.
Why? Why is it enough? She's been in front. She's been in. Why? She's been in front. You seem to think that when horses get in front, they lay magic fairy dust behind them.
With the bottom level maiden.
She's been clearly in front and lower in bottom level maiden clays race before and been given up. She was on August 22nd when speed was good at Saratoga. She was waltzing along on the front end. She stopped on a dime. This horse wins, I lose. Race number 2. Race number 2 is a very moto obvious horse in this race, and that's the number 11, Ikochi Kwa. A horse you liked last time. I did not like this horse last time simply because I didn't think this horse would get 1 1/16. The fact that they're cutting back finally is the right move. This horse is bred for turf, but is bred to go shorter, not longer. That was bad placement first time out.
Kelly Breen early double for me. This horse is cutting back, like you said, just didn't want to go that far last time. Cuts back, drops in, turf sprint. This horse comes back and honestly runs anything close to that last race. This horse is going to be right on the wire with him today. And I think, like you, the distance was probably too much. And if this horse can find a home turf sprinting, I think he'll beat these. I'd
like to bet David Aragona $1 that this horse will be favored over Disciplinarian in here. I know he has them close. I don't think it's close. This horse will be an overwhelming favorite in this race.
You think overwhelming? What about Boom Boom Kaboom? You don't think he'll take some money?
God, I hope so. I wish I could put it in my pocket. We'll take a look at a race that Boom Boom Kaboom finished a nose behind Frat, and I thought the number 12 Frat. I mean, you talk about horses getting in front of the field. I mean, aren't you a little afraid that Frat could be the horse that wires this field?
I got it 11-12.
Apparently, Anthony's mic is not working properly. I don't know if there's something we can do to get it to work better. We will take a break after this race, and perhaps somebody can come and... Is it working? Well, I don't know. I got a text from a good friend of mine. I don't know if it's working better. We'll take a break after race 3, and they'll come up and see if Anthony's mic can be working. We've had some issues, and we apologize for those issues. It is opening day, and these things do happen sometimes. Anyway, I thought this horse might be the other horse near to Wirewood Field. Disciplinarian's okay. I'm just getting a little tired of him. He's had plenty of chances, and I don't like Boom at all. He's just had a million chances and just doesn't get it done. I thought the 11 is.
What about my boy, the Perfect Banker cutting back to a turf sprint? His first 2 turf sprints were against maiden special weights 10 months apart.
I've never seen this horse do a stitch of running in his races, so you're welcome to take him. I know you like this horse. I did get involved in the fast pace last time out. I've never seen anything to recommend about this horse. I have no idea why you keep picking this horse, but he's a horse that you like, so you should bet a couple bucks. I thought the interesting horse is Travelin' Danny, who is half to 4 turf winners out of 7 to try. It's actually a real turf move up now. I'm not sure why you want to breed this dam to Alpha, who's a Berardini. You're not going to get any turf influence there. He feels like he should be sticking
He
more
had
to
one
turf.
turf winner so far.
Yeah, he's a Bernardini, and he was a dirt
I
horse.
think he beat us.
It always seems like in New York, there's some sire that gets bred to a lot of turf dams with no turf pedigree.
I don't know.
It's kind of weird. I don't quite get it.
His two biggest races, I guess, were in the slop, right? The Jim Dandy and the...
Travers wasn't in the
Woodward?
slop?
Travers wasn't in the slop. Woodward was probably the best race, though, right?
Maybe. That was a weird race. That was a weird Woodward. Who was favored in that Woodward?
That's honor and serve. Back to back, years favored.
Did he run back? Maybe you're right. You may be right. You could be right. That's a good call. I would never have gotten that. He ran back as a 4-year-old, 5-year-old?
Now you got me to second guessing myself. I want to say he beat mine, but maybe it wasn't honor and serve.
Yeah, I didn't think he ran as a
It was a
5-year-old.
photo. He won like by a half length or something. It was close.
Well, maybe somebody will text me. Anyhow, see if we were getting some other complaints on Twitter besides the great Nick Tamaro is trying to hang on your every word, and he can't.
Maybe they'll
Okay.
applaud the fact.
Yes, your friend Matt Schiffman said your audio is muffled.
Thanks.
Nobody else. Oh, one of your good friends, Johnny, wants to know what time Talking Horses starts.
Now.
Race
Where are
number.
your videos, by the way?
What? It's been a long week already, and we haven't even started racing yet.
We're 2 races in.
We're not even 2 races into the weekend. We haven't even started. Race number 3 at 1.16 miles on the turf. We'll take a look at the horse that I knew you'd pick on top, VIP Nation. And this is last time out, finishing second. Finished second because Bray just died. I did not get a good ride in this race. And I actually thought this horse got a very good trip and a good ride in here. I'm going to tell you a problem I have with this horse.
What's that?
This horse has not been breaking great.
No, I do agree with that. I do agree with that. And, you know, that gets to be a problem, especially with the older fillies and mares. I shouldn't say fillies, the older mares. She's getting ready to turn 6 in a few months. And as a February foal, she legitimately is going to turn 6 in a few months. And yes, that I was talking about it the other day with Michael Imperio and Rudy Rodriguez, the New York bred filly that won a bunch of races. When she started breaking badly, it was over with. Frosty Ann, when Frosty Ann started doing that, it kind of like, when you see these speed horses do it, I think you worry about it a little bit. You know what though? She's recovered nicely, and she's run well enough. I don't really see. I mean, I guess out of troubles, the only other horse that could give her any kind of.
No, Silky Blue.
You
John,
think
are we
so?
taking a break after this race to work on his mic?
I'm trying to figure out.
We're going to try to figure it out while we're on the air, guys. That's the way we are. Our man John Getzler, who likes to talk when we're on TV, does all the work, makes everything happen here, and he plays all the dead tunes and the good
You know, you
tunes.
think,
I think Silky Blue.
By Silky Blue, but
Why would Ray
there's
Lou
never
rate
been
this
intent.
horse?
But
What?
there's never been any intent.
Okay, so they can rate her and she can run nowhere. That would be a good plan.
You think she wants to go this far?
No,
Yeah.
I don't like her, but I think her only chance is to be forward.
I think the mentality people have. I think the mentality of the horse.
That's why they lose.
Whether that's the case or not, I think they feel like to get the added distance, being on the lead's a bad thing when it's exactly
No, it's
the opposite.
definitely smart to keep doing dumb things over and over again without success. No, I agree. There's nothing beats horse racing.
that? That's
Nothing beats
lunacy.
horse racing
Lunacy
for nothing beats horse racing for having a bad plan and trying to execute it over and over and over again. Nothing beats us. We got that one so buried.
You know that. You're preaching to the choir.
It's
You know, we
so
were all about
crazy.
speed. You and I would be like early fires if we were jockeys. Just send everything.
No, I'd be like a rider's name I won't mention who quit riding after his horse got thrown from a horse. I'd be crying.
I'd send everything.
Anyhow, the question is, if you were saying them, would the horse be able to go? I think there are interesting horses in this race. And by the way, we talked about Silky Blue, and we'll take a look at Silky Blue finishing second behind Giacosa. And here was a race where Silky Blue ran very well when aggressive towards the front end. And this was a more contentious pace than the pace she's going to face today. So in actuality, the best race she ran going long at around 2 turns, she didn't win, but she still ran very well. And the reason she ran well was they were aggressive. She's not a horse that's going to be effective in all likelihood going a mile and 16th if they're not aggressive. I'm not saying they're an all-out drive, but I think if VIP Nation's trying to walk the dog, they better be right on her flank, if not in front of her. And if she doesn't break, Ray Lou's supposed to go over and get to the front.
See, that's where you have to call the audible. Right?
Well,
you have to call the audible.
Ray Lou's a smart young guy, and he wants to ride at this level. You've got to be waiting. If you're him, you're sitting in the gate thinking, if I don't see that horse's colors on my flank, I'm going, man.
I don't disagree with you.
You know, we don't see enough of that. Now, we'll talk about horses I like in here. I like Creasy. I think Creasy's been running against a zillion times better horses than these. She's not a 6 furlong horse, though 7 to a mile is okay. I just think that her form looks bad because she's been running over her head. She doesn't really have conditions. And frankly, my guess is that Dave Donks probably wanted to drop her for a little while. It's just a question of, getting the connections to agree. I could be wrong to say, listen, we want to be competitive. She's a 5-year-old mare about to be 6. Turf season's going to be over in a month. We've got to run her where she can win and get while the getting's good. Somebody wants to claim her, that's their business, but she's got to run where she can win. We can breed her, but, other than that, this is where the horse should be running. And I just think they're finally being realistic with her. And I think she just belongs in these. And I'll tell you something else. I think Dancing with Daffodils is dangerous. A lot of us like Dancing with Daffodils because she ran very well with a super wide trip, 3 back, going 2 turns at Saratoga. And then she got caught in that race at Belmont September 24th where the pace was slow and nobody made any move whatsoever. Then they went back to a sprint where she was running against better horses and she was probably too close to the pace. And now she's back to going longer where she ran 3 back. And I think everybody's off her bandwagon. And if so many of us liked her that she was 2 to 1 2 times ago, a preposterous underlay, then I think at 12 to 1 or 10 to 1, you're supposed to like her here because she has a legitimate excuse in that race. Now, maybe she's gone the wrong way, but I still think she's playable or usable at a big price.
I thought Giacosa made some sense in here.
Let me ask you a question. How have Jimmy Bond's horses run since Saratoga?
They haven't run well.
Right. Now, and the other thing is...
And I'm a big... I would normally stay away. I feel like...
When she won at Saratoga, she had an absolute dream trip set up. You like the speed, and then you pick second a horse that needs help up front.
Because if you're right about Silky Blue...
I'm not saying Silky Blue is going to make some sort of fast pace. I just think she'll be forward. That's all. I don't think the pace is going to be fast. I never do.
In case there's a little pressure
I think they're... Okay, I just disagree. I think there's far better closers, but I guess it's fair to say Giacosa could have more upside. Race number 4, we've got entries. We've got a lot going on in here. Now, who is the speed? Is it this horse, the number 4, Ryan's Cat? And we'll take a look at Ryan's Cat getting run down. Don't you feel like Ryan's Cat should have won this race last time out?
I absolutely do. Yeah, kind of surprised once he got to the lead. I think this was a day, if I'm not mistaken, this was a day where speed was pretty good, and I think this horse took some more money because of the fact that speed was pretty good. Yeah, he's supposed to win, and he didn't. And now he goes from the straight 3-year-old claiming races to the older horse claiming races. And that is a world of difference.
You make a great point.
A world of difference.
It'll be the first great point of your
Aqueduct. Quick, too, race number 4.
The thing
with him is he's eligible for the 3 life against the Open Company, too. And they opt to run him in a race where Topper T is,
sometimes you have to run when the races come up.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that, but, he's catching some horses that have won.
I just wouldn't use the insinuation that they're getting overly aggressive. They're probably trying to find a spot where they can run. That's all. I mean, it's, I think it's more a question.
I know he's 5 to 2 on the morning line. I'll probably be the second choice in here based on the fact that
I don't like him.
Isn't it hard to like him?
I don't particularly like him.
Especially if he's going to be a short price.
What about the entry? I'm surprised in some ways that both halves of the entry are running in here. He does figure to be the speed, though, doesn't he? I mean, he is faster than these horses, Ryan's Cat. I just don't particularly like him. He had every chance to win, I thought, against a softer field last time. I'm going to show the video of Control Stake from Keeneland, last time out winning. And these are 2 horses claimed out of their last races that end up in the Cantor Massey barn. And both of these horses were victorious at Keeneland. But Control Stake is the one who probably ran against the better field.
Yeah. Control Stake running against the better field. The daunting task of improving off of trainer Robertino Diodoro is what Cantor Massey is going to try to do here.
The other one's Norm Cassie. You're going to say that's not a daunting task?
No, listen. The Norm doesn't have the resume that Diodoro has with the longevity, but... the longevity, but I mean,
Been training on his own for years. It's okay to say, and I think Norm would agree, that it's tougher to claim from Diodoro probably than it is to claim from him. I don't think he'd be insulted.
I think Norm also Norm has been in this game for a while as an assistant to his father, Mark Cassidy. He's been around a lot of good horses. I think it's
probably not as hard to claim from Norm Cassidy as it is to claim from Robert Diodoro. We're allowed to be honest here.
It's proven. But with that said, I mean, Ryan's Cat's going to go. I would think Almendro is going to put some pressure on him. And these horses might be control stake especially. He might just be in the right spot today.
Yeah, I prefer him of the two, but I think they both have a chance in here. Why do you like Topper T? Hold off on the trainer stat, please.
Got a little bit of a kitchen sink here, right? The blinkers come back off. I like his races better without the blinkers than with the blinkers. He's a fresh gelding. And Johnny Toscano's barn really heated up at Belmont Park. He won more than a handful of races. Horses came to life. I don't know, this horse, I kind of feel like, even though he ran for the quarter, don't you feel like he's just been running against much, much better?
He has definitely been running against much better horses. I found an interesting stat for John Toscano, and one that worked actually just the other day at Belmont Park, where he's done very well when he's given his horses about 8 to 12 weeks off after claiming them. I should say 6 to 12 weeks off after claiming them, excuse me. He's done well in these spots in dirt sprints, been very, very effective. And Topper T did once have some run. Now, he was bad when he was second, 3 back. He had a perfect trip, but you may be right. Recon was in good form then. It might be better than these. And I don't disagree. He's a new gelding since then. And I thought he was an interesting alternative. I don't think we're going to get the 5-1. It seems like an awful lot of people like this horse, but I thought he was a little bit interesting in that trainer stat.
I would almost think that there's a chance him and Ryan's Cat flip-flop prices.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet him at 5-2. I was hoping to get a better price, but I thought when I picked him that nobody would like him. It turns out that everybody likes him. Race number 5, we're going a flat mile, and we'll take a look at the number 6, Gulani Brigade, a horse that you and I both have on top. And it's your first chance to pick Chad Brown at the meet, and you jumped right on it. But this was a Klarovich horse. You said it wasn't the first race.
Like this horse's effort. This day, and you and I had talked about this, and Foolish Ghost got in front of them in here, and you had mentioned on Talking Horses that afternoon, what about the fact that the race is 6? His better races have come at 7. Well, you turned out to be right. I think the race.
You think he ran worse in this race than his other races? I don't.
I don't know if he ran worse. I think the
competition was tougher.
I think the way the race developed was not in his favor. Yeah. I think maybe with a little bit more ground.
Wasn't the competition tougher? Pretty tough field. Foolish Ghost in good form.
Last time,
Tail of the Union's
no question
good.
About it. Yeah, no question about it. I also think that when I don't want to say class relief because it's the same level, but when you take a look at the fact that this field's looks a little easier on paper, and he's performed better. His numbers have been fast, but 7/8 has been where he's gotten his wins. I think the mile will help him as well. I also think the outside draw will help him. He was down inside the whole way last time.
But isn't he going to get pressure from the 1A Dark Money? I mean, without Dark Money in the race, he could be loose, and he would be in an easy position to lead this field.
He's supposed to let Dark Money go, don't you?
He is going to let Dark Money go, but the point I'm making is that if Dark Money wasn't in here, he'd be in a very, very easy spot to lead him on a merry chase. And now he's got Dark Money going after him, and I think that makes it a little bit tougher for him. I think Dark Money is a funny entrant for Linda. I looked at Dark Money and thought, boy, Linda Rice is going to scratch this horse, and she's running this horse. Well, you never know. She's always eligible to scratch late. That horse changed the dynamic, I think, a little bit and makes me worry. I mean, let me ask you a question. We'll look at 6%'s last race. Where did this effort come from?
I don't know.
Because this horse flat out ran last time.
Let me ask you a question. Do you feel like this number should have come back? Well, let me put it like this. Compared to the way he had run in his last 2 efforts, don't you think this figure should have came back a little higher? Because, like you said, this race is only 2 points higher than the effort before this. Where did it come from?
He was. Well, the question is where it came from. I don't know. It was 2 points higher in his prior effort, so I don't know how much bigger it was from the speed figure.
But don't you feel like it was a much better effort? I felt like this horse was night and day compared to his 2 prior
I don't know.
starts.
I didn't particularly love Wordsworth off of wins in the dirt. Mike Maker does not have great numbers coming back to win. So that was one of my things. I don't know. I don't know. He was a little against the track the time before that. And it just seems like this horse, frankly, I mean, with all due respect, has improved since he's got into Mike Maker's barn. So I don't know. I'm not sure what bigger number. But, I mean, if the pace gets hot, if the 1A is really moving up front, and that in some way, hurts Galani Brigade. It's going to help him. I also think it's going to help Dynamax Prime. You didn't think Dynamax Prime was a little bit interesting on the reclaim from Rob Atras, who's 7 for 15 off the claim over the last, like, what, 30 days or 90 days or whatever it is?
This goes back to the old claiming types going to the bench and just not coming back the same horse, and that's kind of what it looks like to me.
What, Dynamax Prime?
He went to the bench
Got
on
an 83
February 29th.
buyer last time.
He went to the bench on February 29th, and he just, I mean, you want to say that maybe getting back to Rob Actress, maybe. That's a possibility.
But what about his last race? What was wrong with his last race?
Last race was okay.
His last race showed, I mean, I understand you're not wrong that he lost his good form, but he ran it well enough last time to suggest he can still run, and now he goes back to Rob Atras. I thought he was very much the, listen, I don't think the two, I mean, you know, every Nota horse has a 10 times as good a chance as it has on paper, but this horse got helped by the racetrack last time, and it's tough to like here. I think Freaky Stylie's a little bit interesting.
Division?
Well, I didn't like that horse at all. Why would I like him? He wins when he has everything his own way against lesser horses, right?
Yeah, but you know what? He's cutting back to the one turn. And I know
But
he
he's
won
better-
going 2 turns last time, but he's 4 for 6 at the mile distance, and they're all around 1 turn.
Well, but he's better when he's forward, isn't he?
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
can't
tough to beat
he be sitting 3rd behind the speeds in here?
Yeah, but he's going to have to go buy horses like Golani Brigade and then hold off the closers. Not for me. I don't. We
listen,
disagree. I think he's too cheap.
Listen,
I know you're friends with the owners, but I think he's too cheap.
I'm close to singling Galani Brigade today.
Really, I'm not.
I'm close to singling him today. I'm trying to round out the exact one. I think Yankee Division might be the kind of horse that you can get in there at 8 or 10 to 1.
Okay, we saw race number 5 a little bit differently overall. We'll take a break. That's the first 5. Back with a late pick 5 after a quick break. Welcome back to Talking Horses. Anthony Stabile joining me, Andy Serling. I have not heard from my friends. Perhaps some of my friends watching can tell me if Anthony's mic is working a little bit better. We hope it is working better, and we apologize. A lot going on here, and the people in the TV truck are handling more than any other human would be capable of. An amazing job they do putting on that show now for 6 or 7 hours every single day and getting right over here from Belmont. And we're back on the air on Wednesday. A tremendous job by those guys. I don't know how they do it.
And gals.
And gals, absolutely. I appreciate that. Thank you for that. Race number 6. We'll take a look at the race that a bunch of these come out of when She's a Majestic ran 3rd and Secrets Kept sucked up for 2nd. I'm interested in the 11 Loves Misery in this race, who, in my opinion, gets really kind of trapped down between horses, trying to move there. Horses came over, was trying to rally, sort of got shut off a little bit there, kind of got discouraged, tried to go inside. And I thought that Love's Misery was a horse that actually had legit trouble in this race, and she's still running a bit at the end. And I didn't love anybody coming out of here, and I thought that she really didn't run that badly for Dave Canizzo. I don't love her, but the truth is, I don't like the Aspen horse. She's a Majestic. Maybe she gets loose and she wires. There's so many firsters. I thought Secrets Kept just sort of sucked up, finished 2nd.
Do you really?
Yeah. Well, what running did she do?
I don't know. I just felt like the wide trip.
Wasn't that wide.
She was
less than 3 wide. 3 wide is the most. How is that getting punished in the wide?
You don't think she was deep on the turn?
No, I don't.
Oh,
I watched
okay.
the race and don't think she was.
I used her that day, and I remember saying to myself, I wanted to bet her back.
Okay, but you used her. But I don't particularly like her. No.
Okay.
I don't really love anybody out of that race, to be honest with you. I think first-time stars are far more interesting.
Fair enough. Yeah. I thought she ran okay. I was looking forward to betting her back, but maybe maybe you're right. Maybe it's just not a good race.
I didn't like the race, but I thought my horse had a little trouble and would be a huge price in there, and would be, she could be higher. Mm-hmm. I think this race is more about first-time starters, Anthony.
Okay.
I think there's so much going on in this race.
I almost put
Well,
Coco Pelli
if
on
Joel had been here and been on the
Yeah,
horse, this
definitely.
horse was 100%.
But it
So
does what Kendrick's like. Kendrick's almost like the Joel replacement with everybody gone. So I'm a big Kendrick.
Kendrick's not, with all due respect to Kendrick, he's not a Joel.
Oh, it's
And
relative.
I'm sorry, Kendrick, if that offends you.
Relative.
Source is a half to some good turf horses, but the problem is there's also good dirt horses in the family, and this
Mm-hmm.
horse is Into Mischief, and while Into Mischief has some success in the grass, is a much more proficient dirt sire. So I wonder if this horse rates, you know, you look at Epping Forest, you look at some of the other horses, they had more turf sires.
I can't argue that. But I still think she's interesting.
Okay, I mean, I understand. I think there's a lot of pedigrees to look at here. The number 4, Palace Gossip, is a half to 2 turf winners. One of them was a full. They weren't killers, but there's enough turf pedigree to suggest this horse could be interesting for Tony Dutrow, who seems to be becoming a bit more alive. Tangerine Dream is the one that has the real turf pedigree, and they tried to get this horse in the turf first time out. The Dam Rosa Salvaje was a very, very nice turf sprinter, so I thought that horse could be a little bit dangerous as well.
Yeah, coming down from the Carl Grusmark Finger Lakes base, I thought she was a filly that was a must-use to kick off the late
Even
pick 5
Athena
today.
Dancer for Wayne Potts, a half to 4 turf winners were actually okay. I think I put this horse like 5th or something, but I wouldn't even throw that horse out. And Farron Peterson, we're nice to have her riding here. Of course, Julie Crone's her agent. She had a good meeting at Monmouth. A lot of different riders here.
Ward Dancer got his first stakes winner with Step Dancer the other
Yeah,
day.
you like that horse. Yeah, that horse ran well. He got a nice ride by Dylan Davis.
He did.
As well. I'm basically against the horses coming out of that race,
Okay.
except for a long shot that I thought had enough of a trip that I don't mind taking a small shot. I'm not in love with Love's Misery, but I think the horse will outrun her odds in race number 6.
Fair enough.
Race number 7, I agonized over this race. You've got the number 3 microsecond on top as Todd Pletcher hopefully gets his 5,000th win sooner or later so we can stop talking about it.
I think this is the one. I think this will be it, if it doesn't happen sooner.
Couldn't he have done it earlier at Keeneland? Doesn't he have some
He
horses
could
early in the day?
have. He could have. But I think this horse has a very good chance to be number 5,000 or
Okay, why?
the start of the next 1,000. Well, I think this horse is supposed to work out a nice trip on or close to the lead in here.
He's not going to be on the lead.
I would think this horse is going to be in front.
No, the 7's going to be in front. Dan Fusey's much faster than this horse. Unless the 7 falls coming out of the gate, Dan Fusey will be in front of her. I mean, if Raylu's not in front,
she'll be sitting
if Raylu's
second.
not in front with Dan Fusey, then he has to ask himself what he's doing here. Well, seriously.
Then she'll be sitting second.
Yeah.
And
No, I'm not. That's a problem. I'm
I'm
not.
not a Dan Fusey guy.
Why?
Well, I don't know. I kind of feel like Joel did a good job just walking the dog on the front end when he broke the maiden over Barley 1. Kind of got caught in a quick pace. The next time out is the 3 to 2, 8 to slash.
I'm
8
a
to
little.
5
I was
favorite.
disappointed in this horse. He should have gotten it
Yeah.
done last time. I don't disagree. I don't love either one of these horses. I put them 1, 2. I think they're the 2 horses to beat in here. I don't have a big thing about either one of them. Other than Kelly Breen training the 4 Maggie's Express, is there something you actually like
Well,
about the horse?
This horse is coming in behind a repeat winner in the last 2, and when this horse finally had to step up against older horses, has never run against state breds, has kept good company. has
Gentleman
run
Joe,
okay,
who
open
ran second
company.
last time, put in some performance here at Belmont when he came here. He got
Listen,
bet, and he was awful.
Yeah.
Just pointing it out.
I don't disagree with that, but this horse, I thought this horse had some competitive numbers in
not a
here.
disagreement, it's a fact.
Step up
That's
a
not an
little
opinion.
bit. And this horse would be a big price. This horse
Okay.
would be 12, 15 to 1, I think.
Okay. I still think you like the horse because Kelly Breen.
No,
trains.
I'm telling you why I like the horse.
I think you'll like because Kelly Breen trains.
I'm
But I don't
telling you why I
disagree.
like
The
the
horses run against some okay horses. And not me any killers. What about Quiet Out East? Let's look at that race.
Yeah.
Quiet Out East and Sanctuary City. And I think we have to talk about Sanctuary City, who may well end up being the favorite in this race. I don't know if David made this horse the favorite or not. The horse who ran, I
So in
think.
other words, this horse has kind of come alive.
Quiet Out East actually
For
ran the
Bruce
better
Brown.
race, was 3 wide, around the racetrack, and I actually thought ran the best race because was hitting the pace more, and this race collapsed. Sanctuary City kind of angled out and ran fine, but this race was collapsing towards the late stages. In fact, this is the race with Dan Fusey in there, as a matter of fact.
Yep.
I think Quiet Out East is okay out of that race. I could use him in there.
So do I. Out of that race, he's the one I would want.
Yeah, I think we need to talk about Sanctuary City,
Yes.
who could easily end up the favorite in this race because of that 96 buyer last time.
That's a
And-
problem, right? I shouldn't say a problem, but
I don't think it's a problem. I think it's a good thing. I think it'll lead people astray with this horse. And I don't think he's impossible in here. But this is a classic textbook example of turf figures and how they can be misleading. He ran the Mohawk against better horses. He did absolutely no running, but he was carried along by the flow of the race, by the fact that they were just sort of running along in place in there. He didn't do any meaningful running, but we see this time and time again. When horses jump up substantially in class in turf races, they'll get a substantially higher fig without really doing any running. And I don't really think he did any running last time out. So his figure really reflects the quality of the field he was in and not so much his performance.
They did almost.
You'll never see this in a dirt race. If he was in a dirt race and he had those kind of buyers, he'd lose by 40 lengths or 30 lengths. It doesn't work that way in turf racing. So you can like Sanctuary City. He can win this race.
But the last figure should not be the reason you like
You just look at it and say, oh my gosh, he ran a 96 buyer last time. He's going to stomp on this field. That's probably a bad way to look at it. Not saying he can't win.
Well, he's never really run terribly.
No,
right?
he's okay.
And since I think the two races saved the stakes effort. The two races stretched out in his second and third starts back have been a little bit better than his sprint races. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying this horse isn't a contender today, but if you're betting him solely because he got beat 4 lengths and change in the Mohawk with the 96 fig, that's the wrong reason to be betting this horse
But
today.
the problem is, if you like him of his other races, you're getting the bad price because of the last race.
You're punished for
so
that
for that
effort.
reason, he's a horse you almost cannot bet on. The 11 Conforto interests me a little bit. I guess Mike Maker just thought, why don't I claim this New York bred and bring this horse to New York, which makes sense. But Conforto is a horse that I'd want somewhere in my pick 5, maybe as a C, just off the weird Mike Maker claim of this horse. Stakes portion of the cart starts off in race number 8, and we'll talk about the favorite here, Malathot, as we start. And I don't think there's any argument that Malathot is way the horse to beat in this race.
No, I don't either.
Take a look at the replay.
Yeah, here it comes. Sat just off the pace, comes up the inside, does everything right, draws away. I kind of like the fact that Bill Mott's Caramel Swirl gave this horse some fits through the lane.
Well, Caramel Swirl's a very, very good
Very
horse.
nice horse, yeah. And the fact that she didn't leave her, I think is a good thing. I think these horses get more out of these battles in the lane and being hounded a little bit than they do if they draw off and win by 8 or 10 lengths. So, yeah, no real knocks. When I looked at the morning line, I was a little surprised because I thought she was
I would
be,
book American West at 2-1.
Right. I mean, I thought Malathot would be 4 to 5.
Oh, I don't like American West if David's line is correct. I thought this horse would be a clear-cut third choice in this race. And if David's right, and he's usually right, and that horse is 2-1, I don't like American West at all.
I was surprised
I thought she
to
was
see
interesting as an alternative.
I thought American West would be the third choice. I thought Shug McGahee's horse, Cafe Society, would take more.
I agree, and we'll look at Cafe Society, and I think she should be the second choice in this race. Thought she ran very well. I'm surprised that David has that line, but David's usually right, so I don't want to. I'm not criticizing the line.
Well,
if he's right. I don't like American West at 2-1 at all.
Andy,
I wouldn't touch her.
I wonder if they see Chad Brown. I wonder if they see Trevor McCarthy. Now, Trevor's going to be here for the next few days because a lot of jocks
Well, you
are
saw Chad
obviously
Brown.
out of town.
Would you have picked the 2 if it wasn't Chad Brown?
I like the 2's race. And
We'll get to that, and you'll explain to us why.
Well, okay.
Okay, but this is Cafe Society, who I thought ran
Nothing
very
wrong
well.
with this race.
Now, she's coming back in 19 days, but why am I supposed to criticize Shug McGahee for coming back on short
And
rest?
she's got to go from 6 to a mile, and that's the thing that would bother me a little bit more.
Not
She's
me.
bred to,
She's supposed to want a mile. She's
But
supposed to be better at a mile than
but
6.
When you combine coming back that quickly with a quarter-of-a-mile stretch out, I do wonder if it's asking a little too much of her. But hey, listen, Shug McGahee has about 3,800 more winners than I do, so I'm going to pass on making any real judgment on that. I like American West because she won going the mile, and I think that is important.
We'll watch America's race. So that's why you like her. She won.
That's the
mile.
main reason I put her on
The
top.
fact that it was a woefully slow race doesn't bother you.
I like the fact that it was a mile. Emile Foy came back and I thought ran okay out of the race. You know, when they go to mile at this time of year, you would think these races, the longer races aren't going to come back as fast because they're being asked to do something that a lot of them can't do, frankly.
Well, that's fair. This was a day where the rail was the place to be. It wasn't extreme rail bias, but as you can see, the 2, Milfoil, who came back to win, and we'll talk about that in a moment, she came down on the inside, and I do think the America West ran the right way. She was outside on the day you wanted to be inside. Milfoil came back and ran 10 buyer points faster in her next start. Not everybody came back and ran better, but a number of other runners came back and improved their figures dramatically. And also, if you look at the horses in that race, a number of them had run faster figures before the race. The 6th place finisher, for instance, ran a 55 the prior race, ran a 32 in this race, and came back and ran a 46. So there is an argument that that figure could be a little light. Now, there are other figures you look at that don't have that figure too light. Timeform thinks it's a little bit better than it was. They were moving a bit up front. That was a quick pace. Jackaron the Dam, for what it's worth, it doesn't really matter, but she did break her maiden at Belmont and did come back with Attempted, and then basically her career blew up after that. But I was hoping that she would be 7-2 in here, that they'd go crazy for Malathot and Cafe Society to be a second choice.
Still could happen.
David's right and she's 2-1. I wouldn't bet a nickel on her at 2-1, but I do think I think she'll outperform what I thought would have been her odds, but I don't think she'll outperform 2-1.
Yeah, it can still happen.
What about Spa Ready, the other Chad Brown runner? Any thoughts on that horse?
I mean, no,
seems a little slow.
It's
Didn't
funny.
take any money first time. America West wasn't bet first time either.
Right. And that's the real oddity in here. You have 2 Chad Brown second-time starters. One horse was 5-1, one horse was 6-1, and they both won their debuts. Spot Ready was pretty impressive. I mean, she won by over 3 lengths, and yeah.
I don't want any. I won't be betting anybody in that field in the maiden special weight in the dirt.
Well, that's the other. That's her real issue is while she may have run okay, she did not beat a particularly tough.
Clement's horse that I bet in that race came back and won on the turf while I was on vacation. Race number 9.
Was that Honey Pants?
Yes. Race number 9, the Atlantic Beach. We ran this race
Sunday, right?
a week later. She's in the Philly counterpart of this race. These are the Colts, and there's no question the horse we'll take a look at here. What makes Sammy run is the horse to beat. This horse was running, and to see an 87 buyer first, for a second-time starter, 7 furlongs, 2-year-old. These are the kind of figures that you just don't see.
No.
I mean, you honestly do not see these numbers. When you saw the horse win like this, you knew the horse looked impressive, but a lot of times the race comes back and gets a 68 buyer and everybody behind the horse. And even the 68, you go, that horse ran pretty well,
They look fast, but they're not as fast as you think they are. This one was just as fast, maybe even faster than we thought it was.
This horse ran.
I mean, and the last 70 yards, Jose Lezcano is just, it's gear down city.
Yeah.
This was, I mean.
He should be an overwhelming. See, I don't agree with David that this horse will be 2-1 and Trade Deal will be 3-1. I think this horse will be 6-5 or even money.
Wesley War, this horse was entered today.
No, this horse got an 89 buyer.
87 buyer.
87 buyer. This horse will not be 2-1 in this race. There is no chance this horse will be 2-1.
Yeah.
I think this horse will be even money or 4-5.
I couldn't.
That's why I didn't put it on top, because I thought this horse would be a much shorter price. If David's right, I would make it 4-5. At 3-1 versus 2-1 on Trade Deal, and we'll get to Trade Deal in a second, I would bet the other horse. We'll take a look at Trade Deal's last race. This was not Junior Alvarado's fault. He was just flat out unlucky in this race as he got caught behind horses. You see him, the 10 horse, with nothing but horse. And I mean, I don't think I've seen too many horses that spent more time pinballing around trying to find a seam to run through and then just gave up.
For all of you old Gallop racer fans, this was like the old school Gallop
Couldn't
racer.
even get
Just
outside.
have nowhere to go. He can't even get outside. Every hole closed on him. Junior Alvarado did everything he could. This is the instance where, if you were to just look at this, watch this, and give it just a peripheral glance, you'd be like, what kind of a ride was that?
Peripheral?
What kind of
You
a ride
brought
was
your
that?
toolbox today, my man.
What was he doing? What was he doing? He did nothing wrong.
No,
he
just got
looked for
unlucky.
4 different spots, and sometimes if you decide you're going to save ground, you have to suffer the consequences sometimes. The hole did not open. I want him to do that every time I bet on him. Save the ground, because more often than not, it's going to work out. In this instance, it didn't. They're the two. I mean, for me, and I'm not saying anything clever here, but they're the two. You're making a late pick 5. I think you could use 4s and 5s and just. After the scratches, Andy?
What about the 1 in this race, Arrest Me Red? I think you're completely disregarding a horse that won easily first time out. I don't care what figure this horse got first time out. Then they tried to stretch out in a race where the pace fell apart, cuts back to a sprint. I don't think Arrest Me Red is anything close to impossible in here. And I'll tell you what, we made a bet. I don't even know how we did in our last bet on our lunch. We were at 51. You won 2. We made a bet. I have no idea how we did.
We made it on Sunday. Did somebody scratch late?
I have no idea. I couldn't even remember.
I think the bet
I will
died.
bet you 1 versus 8 for a lunch.
1 versus 8. You put me on the spot one minute, Clement, Carmouche. Yeah, go ahead, I'll do it.
Okay.
Go ahead. We'll have a little action for the day.
Okay, I think this horse is actually kind of interesting here. It's a very tough spot for him to win. I don't
Yeah.
disagree with you about 4s and 5s. I'm just saying I gotta have the 1 as a C somewhere. I think the horse is a little
Yeah,
interesting.
if you have something
but
clever
might
early
be
on and you
unusually
want to
tough.
spread in here, that's fine. But I mean, if you're just making, it's 4s and 5s for me.
All right, race number 10. Race number 10 was not an easy one to close it out.
Wow, we're all over the place here, huh, you and I?
Okay, why do you like?
I have a little bit of a, just a little bit of a weirdo in here. I have a little bit of a weirdo in here.
Okay, well, tell us.
Mike
all waiting.
Maselli's going to run this horse, first time turf. This horse was coming off almost 11 months last time out. Last year, horse ran and made into 2 maiden special weight races and went out of town and tried an open company allowance race. Tried to run this horse on the turf when he broke his maiden.
I bet him that day.
Didn't beat a particularly good bunch that day. Mike Maselli
Okay.
takes over. He tries to run this horse on the turf. Harry Hernandez is gonna pick up the man. You're gonna get a price on this horse. That's
But
for
you've
sure.
yet to tell us why you like the horse.
That's it.
You're just
thought
reading
it was-
some
I
stuff in
thought
the
it was a
PPs.
little- I thought he was a little interesting.
Because of what? I just want you to tell me
Maselli
why.
trying a horse on the turf. They tried to get this horse on the turf.
he have
a
great
year
numbers
ago.
first time on the turf?
No, he tried to get this horse on the turf a year ago. And if you're going to try to experiment with a surface switch, I think this
It's
is
fine,
the bunch you want to do
but
it with.
basically what you've told us is I threw a dart at it, and I
No, I
did.
threw a dart. I don't particularly care for the rest of this field, and I think there was intent a year ago to get him on the turf. I think he did the right thing by not running him on the turf first time back, and now
He was in a
gets-
different person's barn when he tried to run the turf, not
That's fine, but if
Mike
Mike was intent
Maselli's.
on running this horse on the turf, I'm glad he didn't.
Well, he's
do it
running on the
first time.
turf because he can't run on the dirt. That's why he's running on the turf.
Okay.
Okay, okay, you picked him. I still don't, I haven't walked away feeling as though I've learned anything, but okay. There is the second generation. There are some turf winners, so there's a possibility of some pedigree on the dam side. But, okay, good luck. The 7, Doubly Blessed. I'm going to give this horse one last chance. I don't know if this horse can run at all. This horse was atrocious last time out. Now, he was clearly second best 2 starts back and would have been much, much closer to me and Mr. C. He just got completely buried by Luis Saez down on the inside. I'm going to give him one more chance as he drops down and maybe he finds a weaker field.
See, I don't think he's dropping. I think because those were straight 3-year-old races, I think the
But you just told me you didn't like the field here.
I didn't, but I still don't think he's dropping. I think
Okay,
the
that's fair.
straights are easier.
That's fair. Okay, that's fair. That's not fair. Jimmy Jazz is okay. He's in here. He never wins, but he's in here.
No,
he
he
can
does
win.
not.
And Zipalong's a 3-year-old. Isn't Zipalong super dangerous off the Brad Cox claim?
Zip along's first time Brad
Look at-
Cox.
look at
I'm not
the
gonna- Yeah, I mean,
Good
first time
stats.
Brad Cox.
Great stats off the claim on the turf. Overall, he's 20 for 56 overall, 36%, 258 ROI at Naira. He's 7 for 26. This is a barn that has exceptional numbers off the claim of the turf. I've never loved this horse. I think this horse is a little bit dressed up, but off the claim from Brad Cox, I have to respect this horse.
He broke his maiden against all the horses, and then the starter allowance race. I know we got to beat 5 lengths, and on a turf that might as well be 50 lengths, but he ran into Winning Factor and Mr. Kringle. I mean, horses that would be short prices against
Well,
these
he didn't run
horses.
as well, though, as Doubly Blessed last time, who's got to improve. I mean,
Didn't Doubly Blessed just kind of make, well,
no,
Blessed-
Doubly Blessed was completely buried in traffic,
Yeah.
actually, in that
All
race. You've got no salt second. Besides Leon Seidel running this horse, what do you like about a horse
I don't
that's
know, now this horse
woefully
is,
slow?
this is a drop down, isn't it? I mean, this horse.
But he's a
ran against-
3-year-old. He's
Yeah,
running in a straight
but-
3-year-old
but
race,
he's-
so how big a drop down is it?
Hold on. No, he wasn't running against straight 3s.
Oh, you're right, he
running against
wasn't.
3-year-olds and up.
It's fair.
So,
The horse that ran 1, 2, or 3-year-olds, though, I think?
yeah. But I mean, at the very least,
But he didn't do any running in that race.
no, but he was off 2 months and now
He one
he's
of the
running-
worst maiden fields.
Now he's dropping.
Other than Leon Seidel running him,
He's
though.
dropping.
What
You
is there to
forgot
like
Mott.
about it? Oh, Mott and Lee. So it's a Mott and Lee second, okay.
I thought this horse made sense
Okay. Based on,
based on the fact that he's dropping down, and I don't think he ran that badly last time out against better
Anthony,
horses.
we just had a whole discussion about Sanctuary City. He did exactly as much running as Sanctuary City did in a stake race last time out. But you don't like Sanctuary City today. You can't
I
not,
had Sanctuary City 4th.
you have him 4th. But you agreed with the discussion that his last race he did no running.
How much tougher is the race? I mean, this
Well,
race is-
Sanctuary
this-
City is dropping down a lot more from his last start than no salt is. Would you disagree with that?
no,
Okay.
I mean-
But you don't like Sanctuary City. But this horse you like. I'm just pointing out there is a bit of a contradiction there, right?
No?
Okay, there is, but okay. We'll agree to disagree on that one as well. I think this is a tough race. We'll see. Good luck with your long shot. Mike took a look at that horse, and always respect Mike Maselli. I have a question. In the past, we've seen some trainers that barns have done better at Aqueduct who come over here. But the caveat is that those trainers were stabled at Aqueduct. Nobody's stabled at Aqueduct anymore.
Correct. They
And I
ship,
think-
for those of you questioning that, the horses ship in the day of to the receiving barn.
So do you think that mitigates the idea of trainers that do well? I've thought about this a lot.
Right, because we closed the barn.
Rudy
area.
used to do so well in those
Linda Rice,
situations,
yep.
Linda, you know, and stuff. And obviously, these are people who are going to win
Barn
races.
Barn closed,
but I don't
barn
think
area
it's
closed January 4th, so they actually were able to train here for the first 2 months of
Right.
the Aqueduct meet last year.
Jimmy Ferraro. Was Jimmy here? He's probably stabled here. I'm not sure, but Jimmy's a guy who in the past has done really well at Aqueduct, and he's gone quiet other times. Now, some of it is the competition sometimes, but even his horses seem to pick it up here. Just thought that was something that was worth discussing.
Yeah.
We ran out of time.
Something to keep an eye on.
Head on over to Naira Bets if you're not a member. Anthony, thank you. We'll be back tomorrow. Quickly, while I'm doing this, if you have 2 bets today, think about them. We'll blurt them out at the end. Head over to Naira Bets. Cup 25, $25 free bet, $200 sign-up bonus, nairabets.com. Also, we're offering a $100 thing here. If you hit both pick 4s today, the late pick 4 at Aqueduct and the late pick 4 at Keeneland, $100 bonus through Naira Bets, $150 if you hit all 4 today and tomorrow. Also, the contest, you still have a few hours to sign up, 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock's only about 8 or 9 hours away. 2 horses today that you're
I'm
betting.
just going to give you one. I like Crazy Beautiful in the juvenile fillies. I'm against Princess Noor. I'm going to make a box with Day Out at the Office. I'm going to make a box with Simply Ravishing. I'll probably make a 3-horse box because Princess Noor get out of there, and I'm going to play Crazy Beautiful to win. She's 20-1 morning line. I don't think she'll be that
You
high, but I
see
like it
Anthony
tonight.
with a cup and you walk by him anywhere on the street after today's races, he will need some money for his bankroll tomorrow. So if you can find it in your heart,
The tip sheets are
give him
available
something.
at nairabets.com
There you
with the
go.
videos.
Yeah, yes, they are.
There you
Anyway,
go.
Johnny I up next, the reprise, the scratches and changes. Or actually, the first time you'll get to see the scratches
Not a
and changes. I forgot to read them during the show.
Surprise.
Sorry.
Hello once again, racing fans, and welcome to opening day at Aqueduct. And it's a beautiful November day. Sunny skies, the temperature in the mid-60s. The main track is fast, and the turf courses are firm, and no portable rails in use today on either the outer or the inner grass course. Right now, we'll take a look at the changes for today's 10-race card, and there are no changes in the first. In today's second race, scratch 6, Permanent Resident, 13, Fast Gordon, scratch the 15, Empire Express, and the 16, Black Irish. Once again, scratch 6, 13, 15, and 16. Note that number 7, Travelin' Danny, is a gelding. And a rider change on the 14, You Said Hello, to Benjamin Hernandez. Benji Hernandez rides the 14, You Said Hello. In the third, scratch 1, Peaches and Spice, 6, Love and Love, and 10, Forense Freedom. Scratch numbers 1, 6, and 10. An overweight in the fourth, number 4, Ryan's Cat, 1 pound over. Race 5 will kick off the Aqueduct